In January 1992, in the small town of New Albany, Indiana, a crime unfolded that shocked the entire country. It was not the work of a hardened criminal or a stranger lurking in the dark. The people responsible were teenagers, and the victim was a 12-year-old girl named Shanda Sharer. What began as jealousy and teenage obsession escalated into one of the most disturbing crimes in American history. Shanda Sharer was described as friendly, energetic, and trusting. She had recently started spending time with a 14-year-old girl named Amanda Heverin. But Amanda had previously dated another teenager, 17-year-old Melinda Loveless. Melinda was deeply possessive and struggled with a violent upbringing. Friends later said she became consumed by anger when she learned Shanda and Amanda were seeing each other. Over the next several days, Melinda spoke openly about wanting to hurt Shanda. She recruited 3 other girls, 15-year-old Lori Tackett, 15-year-old Hope Rippey, and 16-year-old Tony Lawrence. On the night of January 10th, 1992, the 4 drove to the house where Shanda was staying. They convinced her to come outside, telling her they wanted to talk. Trusting them, Shanda got into the car. At first, they drove around and questioned her about Amanda. The mood quickly changed. Shanda was threatened and assaulted as the girls drove across southern Indiana. Hours passed. Instead of taking her home, they brought her to a remote area known as the Witch's Castle in Utica. There, the abuse continued. Shanda begged to be taken home. But the night was far from over. The girls placed Shanda back into the car and drove to Lori Tackett's home in Madison, Indiana. They forced her into the trunk during part of the trip. At the house, she was held captive for several more hours. By the early morning of January 11th, the group decided to drive again. They headed to a secluded rural road near Madison. Shanda was left in a field. The girls set a fire and drove away. Shanda was still alive when she was abandoned. Despite severe injuries and freezing temperatures, she managed to crawl toward the road. Later that morning, 2 hunters discovered her body. Investigators quickly realized this was not a random attack. Witnesses had seen Shanda get into a car with several teenage girls. Within days, police questioned the suspects. Hope Rippey was the first to confess. Her statement led detectives to the others. One by one, the details emerged, revealing a crime fueled by jealousy, peer pressure, and escalating cruelty. The public was stunned. How could 4 teenage girls commit such a calculated act? During the trials, prosecutors argued that Melinda Loveless was the leader of the group. Lori Tackett was described as a willing participant who showed little emotion. Tony Lawrence and Hope Rippey admitted their involvement and cooperated with investigators. All 4 were convicted. Because they were juveniles, most eventually became eligible for release after serving lengthy prison sentences. Melinda Loveless was released in 2019. Lori Tackett was released in 2018. Hope Rippey and Tony Lawrence were released years earlier. The case left lasting scars on everyone connected to it. For Shanda Sharer's family, the pain never disappeared. They chose to honor her memory by speaking about the dangers of bullying, manipulation, and unchecked violence among young people. Shanda was only 12 years old. Her life ended because of a conflict that should have remained nothing more than teenage jealousy. More than 3 decades later, the murder of Shanda Sharer remains one of the most heartbreaking examples of how ordinary emotions can spiral into extraordinary evil.